Hi, and welcome back to my orchid life. I appreciate you coming by for a visit. If this is your first time here, welcome to the living room. It's where I grow the bulk of my orchids and many of my houseplants. For those of you who celebrated Thanksgiving this past week, I hope you had a great time with family and friends. I know that we had a pretty good family gathering. A lot of our family makes special dishes for the Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter kind of family get-togethers, and I've been waiting for those, and I think I overdid it a little bit on some of them, but it was oh so well worth it. Share in the comments down below if you did celebrate Thanksgiving and what your favorite dish is, and if it's one that you can only get at that particular time of the year. But today I thought I'd take you along while we repot, or I repot, two of my blooming size orchids that I purchased from Jewell Orchids down in Georgia. I initially found them because I was on the hunt for the Jane Austen orchid, and I will link in the description below that video so you can see why that was so important. They've both been soaking in about 300 parts per million of CalMag and seaweed for a couple of hours. This one here, I believe, is going to end up being a bifoliate just because the last 4 growths have been bifoliate, and bifoliate is by 2 leaves. But I was waiting for this right here. You see it? Nice big juicy root coming down, and that's usually an indicator that more are coming. And I just saw another one. Let me move this strap real quick. Didn't notice it earlier, but she does have another nice new root coming right down underneath that new growth that is also trying to come out. I am going to put her, which this one here is the BLC. Basically it's a Braciocattleya, because the Laelia is now being reclassified as a Cattleya, into the small fir bark right here that I just get at my local pet shop, because they are currently in seedling bark, and I thought putting them in the large, more airy bark would be a little too much airflow around the roots that are used to being a little more compacted. I have been watering them like normal Cattleyas, like, you know, quick dry cycle, wet dry cycle. This one here I got in September, and then the other one, which is the Cattleya Seabreeze Fell Rathis Pride crossed with Laelia Cattleya, again, just I guess Cattleya. Love Knot SVO HCC AOS. I got in October. I was so very impressed with the shipping, the packaging, their customer service, just wonderful. I do plan on ordering some more orchids from them come spring. We have yet to get our first snowfall here in Colorado. Well, real snowfall. We got some snow the day before Thanksgiving, which would have been I think the 24th of November. But it was more rain than snow. There was enough snow that it stuck for a minute, but because it hasn't really gotten very cold either, it didn't stick. So I'm really afraid of when the first real snow does come, or if we don't get a lot of snow this winter, then there being water restrictions in the spring and summer because there wasn't enough precipitation in the winter, which will affect many of us and our yards and gardens and whatnot. So let's just start with the Naomi's Delight. Oh, before I do that though, let me show y'all something. Look at this coffee cup. If anyone who has been watching my channel for a while will recognize this bloom. This is Malark Song, my favorite Phalaenopsis that I own. Isn't that just gorgeous? Look how the gray just enhances that soft pink and the white. Oh my goodness. Well, I can thank Miss Nina from Ninja's Orchids for this cup. I got this cup for being an official Orchid Ninja, and I just love it. I just love it. But if Teespring or Spring, whatever the merchandising company is called, ever watches this, can you guys make the handle just a wee bit longer, maybe a little more narrow? Those of us sometimes with problems with our hands, having to hold a coffee cup like this can be a little disturbing and painful. Whereas if we can grab it like this comfortably, it's a little easier. Just a little side note. I've been drinking out of this cup since I got it a couple of weeks ago. And with that, now we'll get started. All right, as always, squeeze the side of your pot to make sure that any roots that might be stuck to the side come loose. And some people, again, do not water before they repot. Some people do. I'm one of those. I prefer to use wet media. I find it's just easier to get it out. And upon first glance, these roots look very, very good. So that is amazing, because that will help her transition into a new setup, but it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be the small fir bark. Now, she's probably going to have the infamous plug in there because she is a seedling, so I'm expecting that she was just plucked out of her seedling bowl, pot, or whatever, and stuck into another pot with some seedling bark mixed around her. I will fast forward over this portion here unless I find something, you know, interesting or different that we've not seen before. I'll stop it, but otherwise I'll just fast forward of this part. Of course, being very, very conscious of where my new growth is and my new roots. While I'm doing that, let me take these out. I also grabbed my tweezers because this way I can get in between stuff. I'm trying not to disturb the roots as much, or I guess as little as possible. All right, so I will be back. Okay, what I'm doing, guys, is I'm going around untangling the roots, and what I'm doing is I'm just gently kind of pressing to separate them because they've kind of intertwined themselves. And I'm doing that to loosen them so as not to break them while I am removing some of this bark, and to kind of make an opening down here at the bottom just so it'll make it easier for it to fall out. All right, so to make a little bit more room, I am going to cut off these 3 seedling bulbs right here, possibly 4, because then that will leave her with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And by cutting may encourage a direction of growth back here. So let me do that real quick. And I do have my cinnamon, and that's probably going to take off quite a bit of this back. And it took out the entire seedling plug, which is what I was trying to get at anyway. Looks clean. Let's see. Yeah, she looks clean. Can you kind of see that? Let me see if I can get it in a little bit better. There we go. Yeah, she looks clean. I think it's funny. Well, I guess not funny, but interesting how every time we cut a rhizome, first thing we do is we look for the ring of bad news. And how excited I know I am every time I look and I don't see it. I'm dreading the day that I do see it. I know eventually I will see that ring. It's inevitable. The more you grow orchids, you will eventually come across it. Overall, these roots are just really, really good. I'm not going to cut any of them, even the ones that have like little black tips. I'll just pull off what I can pull off, but I'm just going to leave it as is because these are really good. And like I said, most bifoliates will drop their roots anyway after a repot. So these are enough roots to get her going until this new root system kicks in. And she's really starting to push them out because I do see another one underneath the other initial. So there's a total of 3 new roots growing. This one, of course, being the largest. Anything else we want to do? I do want to clean the sheaths. And as I've shown y'all in previous videos, I just take a damp cloth after the bulk of the sheath is taken off, and I will just wipe off the excess with a damp cloth. Of course, be very careful what I'm doing here because I don't want to, 1, break any of the new roots, 2, break off that new growth that's coming, or damage any new growth that might be coming off of any of these others that we just don't see yet. And I'm sure you've heard it before, but you know, when you get your orchid out of the pot, that is the time to clean it as much as you can while you can really get into all the creases and crevices. All right, let's see if we can find any other growths on here. Don't see any so far, but she does look like she's going to be a climber. Do you see that? Let's see if we can kind of put my hand there, but do you see? So she was here, now she's kind of, it looks like she might be a bit of a climber, but I think all Cattleyas in some way or another are climbers of some sort. just in case there is any crack or anything that I might have done when I was untangling this lovely lady. And then we'll just set her right here while she sizzles. Keep her tag with her so I don't mix them up. And then let's get on with the Sea Breeze. I'm hoping that she has just as good of a root system. And this way I don't have to cut as much. Put tweezers back in there. And if you saw me earlier using the tweezers, what I was doing is getting the moss out from in between the bulbs. Because especially on this one, the bulbs are really tight. And I love the bulbs on this one. They're all short and squatty. I'll show you guys here in just a second. Let's see. Look how bulbous they are. Look at that. Yeah, they just look like little cherry tomatoes right before they ripen up. And I can already see her seedling plug right here. And her roots are not as good. As you can see, a lot of them are already desiccated right here. So her root system is not going to be as good as Miss Naomi's over there. Matter of fact, I can just reach right in there. All right, well, let me finish doing this and we'll see what we got. So what I'm doing, instead of cutting off these roots that are gone, I'm just going to pull the velamen off of them so that the remainder root, even if they're not viable, will help as an anchor to hold her in. So this right here is the actual root, and this is the velamen that protects it and provides the root with the water. But instead of cutting them off, I'm just going to use them as an anchor to help her hold her into her new home. Because again, if she is going to take after the bifoliates, she is going to drop all these anyway. No point in stressing her too much. All right, and we'll spray her down, and then I'm going to take them both to the sink and rinse them off. I had a bowl of water here thinking I could just, swish them in there. But I really want to take the sprayer and get in between all the bulbs and everything and just make sure I have all the old media out of there. Just wash away any bugaroos that might be in there. Haven't seen any, knock on wood. One can never be too safe. All right, I'll be back once I'm done with that and we will get them potted up.